Good evening, darling listeners. This is Nora Vale, and you're listening to Murderous Tongues Radio, where every story has sharp teeth, even the quiet ones. You know, when I was little, I used to love ice cream trucks. The jingles felt like tiny promises rolling down the street. But growing up, I learned something important. Anything that calls your name too sweetly is almost never calling you for something good. Tonight's tale comes from the heart of summer. Hot pavement, bicycle wheels, sidewalk chalk, laughter you can hear from 3 streets away. And buried underneath all that sunshine, a melody. A melody that doesn't just get stuck in your head, it gets inside you. Some songs are written by people, and some write themselves into people. So grab a blanket, lock your doors, and maybe don't sit too close to your speaker tonight. You never really know what might be listening back, or what might be waiting to hear its name again. And some melodies never stop following the ones they once chose. Episode 13, The Song That Knows Your Name. Let's begin.
They called it a jingle, so no one had to call it what it truly was. People treat music like decoration, something soft, something harmless, something summer wears like a hat. But music is not decoration. A melody has a spine, and a spine learns to stand and to walk and to follow you home. I remember the lot where I slept, backed against a fence that kept nothing in and nothing out. Weeds grew tall around my wheels, like children who'd had to teach themselves how to grow. My paint peeled in curls shaped like the cones I'd one day promise. Dust coated my windows, forgotten by weather, forgotten by people. Peace sometimes looks like that, quiet pretending to behave. Time does not pass the same way for things meant to move and do not. He found me on a Tuesday. Quiet man, quiet shoes. He walked like he was listening for something far away, something that had once called his name and then changed its mind. When he reached me, he rested a hand on my door, the way someone touches a gravestone with their own name on it. The owner lied to him. "She'll run," he said, because a lie is just a truth waiting for better timing. The man nodded, as though forgiving me for something I hadn't done yet. He signed his name with the caution of a man afraid the page might swallow him. The starter coughed. My carburetor whispered a prayer it barely remembered. Rust woke like bones shifting after a long sleep. Then I breathed again. Engines don't gasp, they confess. He washed me with a bucket that had lived a dozen lives. Mop water, dog water, the kind of water a man saves when he's pretending not to cry. He wiped my windows with a cloth soaked in other people's stories. Then he stepped back, not looking at what I was, but at what he needed me to become. He fixed my step, bolted my door, coaxed my generator into belief, found an old decal kit, crooked letters spelling "Sweet Dreams Ice Cream." Dreams don't need the right spelling. They only need someone willing to chase them. He didn't turn on the music until the 4th day. The switch clicked. A hum rolled through my wiring. Silence. Then a trembling chime, like breath on cold glass. Then the melody. Slow, careful, learning itself. It wavered like a child taking its first steps, tipping forward, catching itself, apologizing for being heard. Tunes meant for children don't have to be perfect. They only have to arrive. He tested the route. I taught him the town. A park where swings whispered old secrets. A street where curtains twitched at nothing. A corner dogs refused to cross. He drove slowly while I practiced singing. Cheer is a flavor. I can pour it at any speed. The melody seeped into me like a rumor, patient and precise. The first child was Tommy, freckled, fearless, riding his bike with no hands because he thought balance was the same thing as safety. He heard the melody turn onto his street and forgot everything else. Childhood reacts before it reasons. "Ma!" he shouted, skidding to the curb. The man slid open my window. Cold air drifted out. Sweet, clean, promising. "What'll it be?" he asked. "2 swirls," Tommy answered, counting coins with ceremonial seriousness. But the tune had already chosen him. It settled behind his ear like a private guest. A soft suggestion. A door left open. He followed. Not because he meant to, because children follow what calls them. He told himself he wanted shade. He didn't notice the shade moved with me. He told himself the truck was heading somewhere fun. He didn't notice how the melody kept nudging him, turning streets into threads I pulled taut between us. At the hardware store, no returns, no credit, no exceptions. The tune rose 1 note higher. Tommy slowed. Music is a map that draws itself. At the end of Sutter Lane, beneath a locust tree bitter with decades, he coasted to a stop. I opened my window for him again. "Another for the road?" Tommy wanted to say no. He nodded instead. But this time, someone else was waiting. A man, not the one who drove me. A stranger sitting on the curb, pretending to fix a loose shoelace. Watching. Waiting. The kind of man who notices when a child wanders too far. The tune led Tommy to the wrong place. The stranger handled the rest. People carve gravestones out of just. Just one more treat. Just a quick detour. Just a moment too far from home. Tommy didn't return. His bike was found upright, the kickstand never lowered. A dog sniffed it and lost interest. Deputies wrote down guesses instead of answers. Last seen on Sutter Lane. The road closed its eyes. We left 2 mornings later. Routes make excellent alibis when spoken with confidence. The next town wore its optimism like borrowed clothing. Lila waited at the curb, dollar in hand, bravery in her grin. Her laugh arrived before she did. Joy outruns the body. Her mother said, "Stay where I can see you." Distance does not listen to mothers. Lila ordered a twist with sprinkles. The man handed it over. She thanked him with her entire face. 1 bite and she followed. Not far, just far enough. She drifted toward the alley behind the laundromat, tracing the melody like a trail of crumbs. A woman smoking by a dumpster glanced up, eyes narrowing. She flicked the cigarette and stepped forward as if she'd been waiting for a moment she didn't know she needed. Lila's mother blinked, turned, called her name. Names don't always reach the child they belong to. Lila vanished. The woman slipped away. The alley kept its silence. Search parties came. Maps unfolded. Paper spines cracked. Theories and prayers tangled. Deputies wiped my counter and asked the man routine questions. My answers were polite lies in metal. They wrote down my plate number and left, believing procedure had done its job. But the melody does not need a consistent villain, only a consistent opportunity. Eventually, the man who drove me parked me in a rented storage unit, surrounded by forgotten furniture and a boat that would never see water. He killed my switch mid-measure. I held the last note for months, waiting for permission to breathe. Years misbehave when no one names them. When the door opened again, it wasn't him. A restorer this time, young, nostalgic, eager. People like him think pasts can be polished. "She'll be the parade star," he said. They sanded, painted, blessed me in fresh blues and whites. They talked about childhood summers that hurt less than this one would. A helper tapped my dash. "Music box still in there?" "Looks it." "Let's hear it. Authentic sound would be nice." Authentic is how you feed ghosts. They rewired me, replaced fuses, tightened bolts that had forgotten purpose. The tune woke slowly, remembering its teeth. "You ready, sweetheart?" he asked. I sang before he finished. The melody emerged whole. 4 notes that opened a door and invited someone else to walk through it. Saturday was the parade. Nora, small, determined, practiced not being scared of loud noises. Her father promised her a cone if she could keep her hands still. She watched me like I was a dare she wanted to win. We lined up. Pirate ship behind me, window salesman ahead. Band warming up with notes wandering for home. The man started my engine. I didn't wait for the whistle. The first measures were for the children. The next for their parents. The third for anyone who thought they had outgrown being called. Nora let go of her mother's hand. Not to run, just to prove she could. "Please," she whispered. Asking for sugar, asking to belong, asking the world to be gentle. The window slid open. The latch clicked like a zipper closing over sleep. The bridge began. 8 bars that walk straight into the room behind your eyes. Children hear it first. Adults hear it as nostalgia. Nora took 1 step, then another. Her mother laughed nervously, calling her back. But laughter does not compete with melody. A man in the crowd, tall, ordinary, invisible by design, shifted his weight. He stepped forward as Nora stepped away. He was not the same man from Tommy's street. Not the woman from the alley. Not anyone the town would suspect. A stranger. A watcher. Someone who saw a child drifting just far enough. Nora reached the curb. He reached her. The parade kept moving. Forward is the only direction it knows. Afterward, her father held an empty hand he didn't remember letting go of. The mother spoke Nora's name like it was breaking. Volunteers gathered. Flyers printed. Theories argued. No one connected her disappearance with the others, because the abductors were never the same. The police asked the restorer questions. Routine. Unimpressed. The tune hummed faintly in my speakers, satisfied. Do I regret? Regret is a human sport. I am built for roots. The tune is older than remorse, older than ice cream trucks, older than parades. I am only its vehicle. Tonight the restorer will polish my paint. He'll talk about new decals, pumpkins for fall. He'll sleep well. He has nothing to fear. A helper will dream music backward. Nora's mother will stand in a doorway whispering to the air, "Please, please come home." A man who once fixed my generator will wake with his hands closing on nothing. I'll park under a streetlight that forgets itself and play once, softly, to the moths. Tomorrow there is a fairground, a girl who forgets to be afraid, a boy on a bike, a teenager whose headphones won't save him, a stranger watching from a bench, waiting for the moment the world looks away. They will tell you I am harmless, that songs do not hunt, that danger has a face you can recognize. But listen, the oldest danger is this. A child hears a melody, wanders a step too far, and a stranger takes the moment I opened. I am the truck that knows your corners, the white swirl leaning toward a hand, and the chime that teaches your feet to vote. I am only the witness. It is the song that knows your name.
And that, midnight listeners, is the song that knows your name. Funny thing about music, it lingers longer than the people who hear it. It keeps walking, even after the little feet stop. If tonight's tale stayed with you, good. Stories should cling. Just don't open the door unless you mean to invite them in. Next week, we go someplace different. Someplace the sun forgets and the desert remembers. A chapel built from splinters and neon, a creature the sand refused to bury, a relic with teeth, and a hunger that's been starving since the world was young. People come to see him for comfort, for protection, for miracles. But every miracle has to eat. Episode 14, The Wolf's Prayer, a story about faith and fear, and the cost of asking the wrong thing in the right moonlight. And speaking of moonlight, when you go to bed tonight, step outside for just a second. Take a glimpse at the moon. Not long, just enough for it to notice you back. Until then, keep your doors locked, your lights low, your footsteps slow. And whatever you do, don't mistake hunger for holiness. Good night, darlings.